The Evermore podcast is now sponsored by WFST Total Compliance. WFST provides fire safety requirements UK-wide to prepare you and your employees should the worst happen. Do what you do best and visit wfst.co.uk today. Enjoy the episode. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with the post-match reaction, and it's not going to be a very enjoyable one, let's be honest with you. If you're hoping for a great Christmas present from Newcastle United, you've just got that served to you today, which I'm pretty sure if you had the receipt for, you'd take back to the shop on Boxing Day. Dreadful performance from the lads tonight. I'm not happy about it at all, to be honest with you. All this talk I'm hearing about the excuses and this and that and everything, and it's loser talk as far as I'm concerned. That team who went out there today should have been good enough to beat Luton. We got beaten by Luton Town at Kenilworth Road. That's right, the stadium. You got to walk through somebody's fucking living room to get to the game. I'm not happy about this at all. We're going to get stuck right into this in a minute. Just before we do, a little reminder, if you've just checked us out for the first time, smash subscribe, come and join us. We're over 6,000 subs. Loads of room for you guys and ever more. That was our Christmas present. Thank you so much for actually giving us one we enjoyed rather than what Newcastle gave us today. All free content. You get the post-match analysis like this, transfer talk, rants, which you may get one in this as well, actually, to be honest with you. Loads of stuff to check out. It's all free, but if you want to give back to the channel, there is an option there to be a member. So let's get stuck right into the lineup then. So this is how the lads lined up today against Luton Town. Obviously, yeah, all kind of team stuff aside, there was a great show of unity from both sets of supporters for Luton's captain, Tom Lockyer, who obviously, unfortunately, had a cardiac arrest last week. And Tom is doing well. He's on the road to recovery. It was a brilliant show of unified respect and kind of affection towards Tom's well-being and recuperation by Newcastle fans and the Luton fans. So getting that out there first, it was absolutely brilliant. That getting into the game, obviously Trippier, the big call was Trippier, will he play or won't he play? I didn't think he should have played, but I knew Eddie Howe would pick him because Eddie Howe was always going to pick him. Drops Tino Livramento to the bench. I think a bit harsh to Tino. People are saying Tino needs a rest, but Tino's been probably the best defender we've had for the last month and a half, probably. So Trippier came in the back with Lascelles and Cher, who did shake off a knock to come back to the side. Dan Burn at left back. The midfield three of Bruno, Longstaff and Louis Miley. And the front three of the brainless wonder that is Miggy Almiron, Gordon, who can barely move, and Callum Wilson. What could go wrong, eh? So we started the game and Luton just absolutely went at us completely. The first 10 minutes you were watching through your fingers. They were just relentless. Ross Bartley was grown into the game. I mean, Christ, what a renaissance he's had. I've already said that, but we made him look like Zinedine fucking Zidane today. Ross Bartley was bossing that midfield so much, but they were pushing onto us. They were pressing. Bloody Townsend looked better than the Townsend that we had years ago. And Trippier looked shaky as out, weak as piss. He was getting barged off the ball. He was giving the ball away every 2 seconds. He looked flagging. He looked wrecked in the first 6 minutes. He was blowing. And I was just thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? Why have you picked this bloke? Something's not right with him. He's fucking terrible. And then after about 12 minutes, it started to settle down a little bit. We started to kind of grow back into the game. We were getting on the ball. We were knocking the ball around. We were making some nice passing moves. Wilson gets a great chance from a lovely ball in from Anthony Gordon. He should do better. He heads it straight to the keeper. If he goes left or right, it's 1-0 in Newcastle. You cannot miss gilt-edged chances like that. You really, really can't. But then we let Luton back into the game, and then the ball comes over, 1-0. Who is it? Andros Townsend, our former player. Of course it is. Bruno's got to be stronger in the header. He gets beaten by Bartley quite easily. And Louis Miley, to be fair to him, has been mint for the past month and a half, but he showed a bit of naivety there. He showed that he was a 17-year-old lad. The first time I've ever seen him look like a 17-year-old boy since he broke into the team. And he leaves his man. Townsend pops up with a header. A nice little bit of kind of wily experience from Townsend. Good movement. He scores a header, and it's 1-0. Newcastle are just all over the fucking place, to be honest with you. We're trying to get her back into the game, but we just didn't seem to have anything, passing around, and the passes were heavy-legged and, ill-timed, bad decision-making. One thing we'd massively missed as well, and I'm not digging him out because I thought he was all right defensively, but Dan Burn on the left-hand side. We missed Tino Livramento's overlap for Anthony Gordon to find space. You could see so many times when Burn was trying to go by him, Gordon was looking at him going, nah. And the defender wasn't going with Burn's run because he was thinking he's not going to pass to him. So Gordon was getting crowded out, and that's something that Tino Livramento gives you. It gives you that width, that speed on the left-hand side that draws a defender out and gives Gordon that chance to cut inside and drive. And that wasn't there today. Louis Miley, bless him, God bless him, gets hooked 7 minutes before half-time. No idea why. No idea why. Sean Longstaff was running around with concrete boots on. He was moving so slow. He looked like that fucking comedian on TikTok who pretends celebrates the goal. That shit band that was doing the rounds a few months back. He was terrible today, Sean Longstaff. He really, really was. Offered fuck all, sweet fuck all, Sean Longstaff today. And I think Louis Miley should feel a little bit hard done by getting hooked at half-time by Eddie. And that's something I think Eddie has to explain. Why are you leaving Longstaff on the pitch? Why are you leaving Miggy on the pitch? Miggy ran around headless as anything today. Honestly, that bloke has no brain whatsoever. The wind blows through his ears. You just hear noise like a fucking blown on the end of a bottle. The guy's completely brainless, and I've had enough of him. I've absolutely had enough of him. Barkley hits the ball, an absolute snorter from 30 yards just before half-time, hits Dubravka in the back. Well, lucky that's not 2-0. Barkley was excellent today, I thought. He was just bossing it, running the show. Bruno had little flashes, but not good enough, really. The passing just wasn't quite there. We had no shape. It was static as anything. Absolutely terrible. Isak come on for Miley, and Isak, again, offers very little. He gets a goal in the second half. He's offside. I mean, I thought it was marginal, to be honest with you. I thought it was marginal. The way they drew the red lines, the line kind of went like that a bit on the commentary in the feed I was watching. But again, we weren't even good enough. If we got that point, we weren't good enough. They hit the bar with Brown as well in the second half, and they just wanted it more. They showed more hunger, more desire, more determination. Maybe the situation with Lockyer spurred them on a little bit more, but they just showed that they wanted this game more. Newcastle looked out of gas, out of ideas, and just completely out of sorts. No other tactics, no plan B. I love Eddie Howe. I'm not slagging him off. I'm not saying Eddie out. My God, I'm not saying that. But get a fucking plan B, Eddie, because your plan A ain't working, mate. It ain't working right now. That squad that played tonight was good enough to beat Luton, and we just gave up. We gave up. We were outfought, outplayed, outpressed by Luton. And fair play to Luton Town. I thought they were excellent today, and they were fully deserving of the win. So I'm going to take a breather and look at some of your comments here. So comment from Jack, yes, that was far from our ideal. Get Howe out now. I'm not too sure about that one, man. I'm not too sure about that one. I might not pull you up again. You sound like a Mackham. You're not going doing backflips that Jude Bellingham was in your stadium. Best player you'll ever have there. JBN UFC, utter shambolic, absolutely. William, we were dog shit. We were, mate, 100%. We were dog shit. Ties in the comments saying Newcastle season is done. 1 win from 9 games away from home. The away form is fucking atrocious. The most, imperious, passionate, trust the process fan cannot sit there and deny that our away form is fucking rancid. Well said, Ty. 0.0 goals against Luton, Everton, and Bournemouth. Absolutely unacceptable and embarrassing. Absolutely. It just horrendous, mate. Absolutely horrendous. It really, really was. CJ Jones is saying absolute rubbish. The press is non-existent, CJ. I don't know where it's gone. Maybe it's gone with the lads' fatigue and their lungs. Maybe being out of Europe isn't a bad thing because these lads haven't been able to handle it. But it all goes back again to the summer. We didn't sign enough players for the now. Players to go into this first team squad. The 2 big players that we signed to go in the starting 11, one was suspended for a gambling problem, and the other one's foot's made a Rivita in Harvey Barnes. We should have had another 2 or 3 players like that, to be fair. I love Tino Livramento since he's been inside. He's been class. I wouldn't have dropped him today. But the other players, they're all kind of for the future, and we needed players for the now, and that's what January has to be. Players for the now, absolutely. If Eddie's allowing this to save legs, it's pathetic. It's not our game. Longstaff is a passenger, 100%. Miggy needs to leave. They all need to kick up the arse. Miggy Armstrong has showed everybody today. I said this ages ago, right? Mark could even clip it and play it. I said that Miggy Armstrong will not have the season that he had last season, this season. And he's fucking well shown it as well. It takes me no pride in saying it. But this guy is not a starting 11 player in a Champions League squad, in a top 4 or top 5 side in the Premier League. He is not that player. He's an impact sub who runs for days, and he's a nightmare to play against with tired legs who might give a penalty away against him. But he's not a starting player. We should have signed a better right-footed fucking player for that matter, but a player that could play on the right-hand side. We saw Moussa Diaby go to Aston Villa. We could have got him. You know, even someone like Chiesa from Juventus, we could have went and got him. And no, they stuck with Miggy Almiron because they thought Miggy's class and Miggy's this and Miggy's that. Miggy's at the highest level he ever would have been at last season. And they should have signed the replacement. They really dropped the bollock there, as well as a third striker when Wilson and Isak are fucked. We should have another option there. That could have won us games that we haven't won as well. The club have made mistakes in the summer. It's coming home to roost. You need to fix them in January, in my opinion, 100%. Go through the comments here. Steve is saying we'll probably do bugger all in January. I fucking hope not, mate. Because financial fair play, get a top attack. I'm sick to death of Almiron and top midfielder. Listen, we've got the Saudi loans, as you say there, Stevie. The Saudi loans are an option. Why not? Fuck it. Let's go over to Saudi Arabia and let's loan a couple of players. Fuck it. Why not? Go and get Mahrez. Go and get Milenkovic-Savic in midfield. Go and get Laporte at the back. Why not? There's 3 players you could bring in right now, and they would fix holes in this squad. Even if they weren't starting players, they would improve that 16, 17 squad. And that needs to be improved because you got Matt Ritchie on the bench coming on against Chelsea. You're in big trouble as a squad. Improvements need to be made. Fucking trust the process, whatever. Believe that stuff as much as you want. I trust the process, right? But we are losing winnable games. Winnable games. Chelsea was a winnable game midweek. This was a winnable game today. And we've lost them through shit in-game management and bad tactics. And that has to be called out. And we are going to call it out on this channel. We're not going to hide away from that. Mad Magazine, Tino Ho should be brought on way earlier, 100%, mate. These last-minute subs are a joke. What was he watching? Almiron was shit from minute 6 to minute 80 when he got hooped. He was fucking awful. He offered nothing. Running around like an absolute brainless twat. When he went over and held his arm, it sounds horrible, but I was hoping he'd fucking done his arm so he could have come off. Not a bad injury, but just to come off because Eddie wasn't going to do it. And I thought, oh, at least the injury might force it. But honestly, shocking Miggy Almiron once again. You know, when you need to bank your chips on somebody to do something for you, if Miggy Almiron is what you're rolling on, you're fucking screwed. CJ Jones saying beaten by Bartley and Townsend. Fucking garbage. To be fair, mate, Bartley was brilliant today in midfield. I thought he was absolutely class. As Simon says there, the midfield was outclassed today. I think they all underestimated Luton, thinking they're just better. I hope they didn't, Simon, because, you know, I said in the preview as well, not that I'm sure the players watch it, mind you, but it'd be good if they do. You're watching this now, sort your shit out. Luton have put in some great performances against City, Arsenal and Liverpool. So they should have known they were going to be up for a fight, especially what happened last week. If the players have gone into that complacent, then that's more fool than me, because they should sort that shit out. They really should. George is saying, whatever the questions that are posed by the Premier League, I can assure you wholeheartedly, Miggy Almiron is not the answer to any of them. Couldn't agree more, mate. His time is done. I think he's done. It's time to upgrade. Brian, hi, Chris. We're a total shambles. Not one player I could rate against that. I couldn't even pick a man of the match. I agree with you, Brian. I'm not even going to pick a man of the match. That's how shit they were. I've got no interest in saying anyone was man of the match because I couldn't pick anybody out. I thought they were all fucking terrible. What else we got here? Tino's played 563 minutes this season. He doesn't need a rest. Yeah, and he's like 21-year-old as well, Ty. So if you cannot play loads of minutes when you're 21, I don't know when the fuck you can. We've got a comment here from Sai. I'm not happy with how his decision-making. He's starting to look a bit suspicious in that department. You know what it is? It's a weird one, right? Because you get attacked by people for having an opinion on Eddie Howe. They jump on you, especially on socials and everything else, jump on you, right? But me and Mark were talking about this before we come on. Eddie Howe is starting to show some tactical naivety. He's a young manager and he's still learning his craft. A lot of us forget that, right? His first major job in football was Bournemouth, and he's at a massive level now. He's at a much higher level than he's been used to. And he's starting to make some poor decisions or naive decisions as a young manager. This is part of a learning curve for Eddie. What he has to do, and I think he will do it because he's got a lot about him, he needs to go away, watch it, and realise that the games could be won or drawn by earlier decisions. And I do think there's an element of over loyalty to certain players. I mean, even Trippier to an extent. Trippier, I don't know what's going on with him, right? But he shouldn't have started the day. He didn't do anything particularly really bad. It wasn't like another gaff or anything like that. We wrapped up a fucking ball and a gift and went, there you go, and someone scored a goal. He didn't do any of that today. But he looked shaky. He looked nervous for probably the first 25 minutes of the game. And that nervousness kind of, reverberates through the team. People look at Kieran Trippier as a leader. If he's shaky and he's wobbly and he's, a bit unsure, that's going to seep through the team as well. So if something's not right with the guy, take him off. Don't put him into the team. Play Tino with that pace and that confidence that he has on the right-hand side. And it might have been different, but I just think Eddie is going to have to answer some questions soon. He really is. This is not ideal. We've gone out the Champions League, which we went out swinging, fair play. We went out swinging. But I think going out of the Carabao Cup was a bad result. We should have won that game. And then today is a winnable fixture. Forest is a winnable fixture. And if we lose that as well, pressure is going to mount on them absolutely 100%. Sean has said he doesn't actually see us in Europe next season. Not the way we're playing, mate. William says, we keep Miggy. Meanwhile, our rivals signed the Army and Kudus. Yeah, exactly. 2 players that we could have signed as well, mate. We just didn't do it. Marcus is saying hunger is the word. Everyone wants to beat Newcastle. We're beating ourselves right now, Marcus. We're beating ourselves. We really, really are. There's no way we should be putting in performances like that against a side like Luton. No disrespect to them. They've worked their nuts off this season. They're 18th in the league. That team that went out there today should have been comfortable in that game. Wilson's got to take that chance as well. We're owned by one of the richest consortium in the world. As Sean rightly says there, how patient the Saudis we're going to see, I think. If this continues, we are going to see. I'm not saying do anything with Eddie Howe, but they're going to maybe be saying something to him because these guys have shown that they're not good enough to be pushing for top 4, pushing for trophies right now. They're not good enough. A massive improvement is needed, and we need to improve. We're comment there from Adaris says, hi, Chris. How are you? Newcastle United should sign Neves, Calvin Phillips, Ryan Shecky, Ruben Neves, Hugo Tiggy on loan, Sancho, Jonathan David. That's a lot of players. But, we could get a few loan deals in, mate, and I think a lot of those players would add some real quality to the squad. I really do. Brian Bryce saying, just hoping January Newcastle don't fuck about and get signs in quick. Well, Eddie said in the press conference, don't expect anything quick in the transfer window. And I really hope he was bluffing because that worries me because we need to be picking targets right now because that squad is in desperate need of improvement, quality and quantity as well. Insanity saying he's getting fed up with Mickey now, me too. I love the bloke because of his work rate, but that can only get you so far in this league. The quality, and unfortunately, he just doesn't have it. And he starts each week anymore. Yeah, I don't understand why he's starting week in, week out. I really don't. The sooner Harvey Barnes gets his arse fit, the better. It really is because it'll give you an option to move Gordon to the right and play Barnes in the left. And we might actually have somebody with a bit of quality in the final third. Miggy has moments, but those moments are fleeting. And I think, what is he, 29 now? I think he had the best season of his career last season. Arguably, I saw some people saying you should have sold him then because you would have got the optimum level of cash for him. If we'd sold Miggy Almiron in the summer after that season and we'd signed, say, Moussa Diaby or Chiesa to replace him, I don't think anybody would complain about that right now because I think those players would have done enough to win us games when Miggy's not showed up. That's just me saying that, to be fair. Comment there from George and Gordon is so worn thin and knackered. He gets his pocket picked so easily. Shadow his former self. Bruno is skillful but slow. Luton made it look like we were running in sand. Yeah, Bruno sometimes overcooks it. In a messy game like that, I actually said this in our chat as well. These are games where you miss Joe Linton. You miss his physicality. You miss his ability to just get on the ball and run and put in a thunderous tackle and just get everybody in the right frame of mind. You miss Joe Linton in a game like that. You miss Joe Willock in a game like that as well because Joe Willock gets you up the pitch. Those two players have been a huge miss for Newcastle this season, on and off. If we'd had those two fit consecutively this season, I think we could have won games where we've drawn or lost. And I really do think that influential to this team. And the sooner we get them both back and fit, the better. But what the fuck is going on with all these injuries, right? Is it because of the way we're playing? Do we need a plan B? I've just smashed my microphone there. Do we need a plan B? Because there isn't a plan B right now. And he's got plan A, and if plan A don't work, he doesn't know what he's going to do. This sounds like old managers that we had whose plan A was just fucking crap. And they didn't have a plan B or plan B. You see, they got roasted by the fans. And he's got loads of credit in the bank, right? And I'm not going to roast him either. But things need to start changing. Decisions need to be made quicker. You cannot watch guys flagging on the pitch doing fuck all and waiting 10 minutes till full time to hook him off, bring on a lad and hope he's going to do something in the game. It needs to be 20 minutes before half time. Get the lad 5-10 minutes to warm up, get into the game, and then 10 minutes to do something about it. Because this is not good enough. It really, really isn't. As Dangling Dave says, a great name. We're desperate for reinforcements in January, 100%, mate. I couldn't agree more with that. JB says our only man of the match was our crossbar. Superb, mate. You are 100% right as well, because we were terrible today. Absolutely terrible. Just dragging through more comments there. What we got here? Excuse me, guys. I've got yeah. Stevie's back saying West Ham bought Ward, Prowse, Kudus, and Alvarez in the summer, and Paqueta last year. Why didn't we go for any of them? It's a really good question, Stevie. Maybe we should put that to the club. I wish somebody would, because the players that we've signed outside of Livramento, to be honest with you, what they've done, it's easy to say, without injuries and without Tonali suspension, all that stuff. And I'm not going to open the Tonali can of worms, but what have they done? Outside Team Livramento, they ain't done anything. Lewis Hall barely gets a sniff. Tonali suspended, and Barnes is fucked. We didn't sign a striker. Needed that position more. We needed Tonali's position filled. Didn't sign a number 6. That was the midfield that we should have signed. That could have closed off games. And say Paris Saint-Germain, for example, number 6 in there, sitting deep and protecting the back four, might have stopped that penalty getting awarded. Might have stopped Milan, getting another goal back. These are massive questions that nobody will put to the club, because the journalists don't want to piss in the chips and get banned from the press conferences. None of the fan-led media want to upset the club because they want to get buddy and pally to them. We know we won't, because we're just two old bastards doing a podcast or YouTube channel talking about football. We're never getting invited to the executive suite. So I think those questions need to be asked. I'd love to put it to the club and ask the questions. People are talking about Dan Ashworth moving on to Manchester United. If that shithouse moves to Manchester United after signing players for the future and not signing players for the now, I think he'll get roasted. He'll get roasted by the Newcastle fan base, me in particular, on one of my rants, because that'll be a disgrace. Absolute fucking disgrace. It really, really will. Sean is back saying, remember, Howe's a rookie at this level. He is a bit one-dimensional, raw and flexible. He's going to have to start learning quick, I think, because the pressure will come on. The pressure will come on. I know it's coming on externally from your Talk Sports and all that kind of like, but internally, he's still got credit in the bank, but that will slowly start to turn, I think, if Eddie doesn't start changing things. Really, really doesn't. We've got a new member in the chat. We've got Hyperbole. Is it Hyperbole? Yes, Hyperbole's a new member. Great to see you in the chat there, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And Dangling Dave, great name against us. Hit the like button, guys. I really appreciate that, Dangling Dave. And he said Dangly Dave there for a minute. That sounds like one of your mates you play five-a-side with today. He was like, who's hung? Dangly Dave. Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. What we've got here. Key to FFP, he's got to sell players, says Marcus. Exactly. We should have sold Mickey Armstrong when he was on top form. We really, really should have. What we've got here as well. We've got Time and Tide. Yes, we need a true striker and a leader smack bang in the middle. I don't disagree. Do you know what? Honestly, the more I think about it, the more Milinkovic-Savic on loan from Saudi would be perfect. He's a leader. He's a box-to-box midfielder. Thunders into tackles, great on the ball, can score goals, can create. I think he'd be a fantastic player. I'm not talking about knocking Louis Miley out the side either, because I like Louis Miley and I think he's got real game time. But Longstaff is starting to regress in the last few games. I think he's looked piss poor. The Longstaff who was vital to what we do doesn't seem to be there at all anymore. He really, really doesn't. We've got a comment from Hyperbole saying Derby wants to play in the capital, lives in London, and commutes to Birmingham every week. Oh, that's a bit of a weird one. He's pretentious. That's why we didn't want him. Well, fair enough. If that was his attitude, then fuck him. But yeah, he was a good player, though. That kind of quality player is what I'm saying, Hyperbole. I think we really should have got somebody like that in, to be honest with you. What else have we got here in the comments? Yeah, Phil says, Merry Christmas, all. That's all I have to say. Merry Christmas to you too, Phil. Yeah, I'm sure Christmas Day will be better than that shit that we've just watched. Absolutely. Malcolm is saying something's gone wrong at the club. It's down to one individual. It's not down to one individual, sorry, but a collective failure. I don't disagree. If you're talking about player recruitment, I think you're right. I think something is going to have to be discussed behind the scenes, I think, mate, because what what do you do? What do you do? Do you know what I mean? It just I don't even know where to begin with that one. Stephen Young is saying inverted wingers pants again. Almiron and Longstaff were awful. They were offered nothing. List on ideas how to break down a 10 bob bit team on the plus side. Sunderland got bumped. That is good, but I am worried if we play like that against the Mackhams in the FA Cup that they'll do us and then they'll be dining out on that fucking thing for years to come. And that's my worst nightmare. I really don't want that to happen at all, because that would be shocking. Absolutely shocking. What Chris is saying, very poor game today. Seems to me something has went on in the background. No more we're tired excuses. Do you know, as I think the problem is with that, Chris, is they've played that card too much. We're tired. And then it's the same thing week in, week out. We're tired. But I think there's a real combination of things going on here. I think There is fatigue. There's no doubt about it. There's physical fatigue. Too many games have been played, between Premier League, Champions League, cup games, and that is going to be an issue. There's no doubt about that. But I do think that a lot of these players have reached the level, and I think they've stepped up a level, and they're not good enough to play at that level. Even as much as I love Callum Wilson in the Premier League, I don't think Callum Wilson's a Champions League striker. I really don't think he is. I don't think Sean Longstaff's a Champions League midfield. I don't think Miggy Alman's a Champions League winger. That's a different level of quality altogether. There's in-game management. There's bits of that game where I suppose you're under the cosh and then you suck up the pressure, and then bang, you hit somebody with quality passing, quality finishes, and it's like bang, 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 the game's 1-2-3-0. These players aren't like that. They run and they run and they run, and they hope for moments. And Wilson's great doing that against a Crystal Palace or a Forest or something like that, but not against a PSG and Milan, or maybe a City or something like that. But I think there's that element. I think we've been figured out a bit as well. I think we are a bit one-dimensional. Everything goes through Trippier. No surprise, Trippier's fell off the cliff form-wise. We fell off the cliff form-wise. So everything goes through Kieran Trippier. Bruno is stepped up a little bit, but sometimes he overplays. Sometimes he gets us in trouble. I think without Joe Linton there as well around him, I don't think he's the same player. I think he relies on Joe Linton's power and his ability to run as well and get the ball and take up the field. And I think without Joe Linton, Bruno isn't quite the same player. I think Louis Miley's been great since he's come in. I'm not going to knock him even for what's happened today. I think it's a little bit of tactical naivety from a 17-year-old boy. You got to let him off. But I think how hooking him straight after is not good for the lad's confidence. It really isn't. I don't know whether he had an injury or something like that. But hooking him and leaving Longstaff on there, trudging around in fucking treacle is not a good idea, because he didn't improve in the game whatsoever. And then you didn't have Louis Miley come off the bench for Longstaff, who was flagging absolutely shit. So that to me was just a weird substitution. I don't get that at all. Marcus is saying, it seems the team plays up and down to the competition. Sign of a team in transition. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. Wilson's a championship player, says Brian. Isak is different class. Yeah, Isak is different class, Brian, but he's not fit. This is the problem. Can Isak play the pressing game? Is that what's doing Isak in terms of these injuries? Is he struggling with the press? Do we need to adapt our game to get the best out of Alexander Isak? Because if Alexander Isak is fit for 25 games a season, he's getting 20 plus goals, right? And he's winning games where we need him to be sharp and fit. When Isak is sharp and fit, there's not many better in the Premier League outside of Haaland, not better in Europe, really, in my opinion. But we're not changing our tactics or anything. Everyone's just running and pressing and running hard and all that stuff. And it was great last season. It was great when we were the underdogs and all that stuff. But I think we need to evolve our style of play a little bit. We need to be able to change it in games. I know Isak came on today and I couldn't tell what the formation was. Was it still 4-3-3? Did we go 4-4-2? I don't understand it. But Almiron was offering so little out wide, and Gordon was flagging. If we went 4-4-2, nothing was going to happen there. You guys mentioned Ward-Prowse before. Somebody who could whip a ball in like that from the right-hand side would have been a great signing for Newcastle in the summer. But we just don't have those players, and we didn't sign those players. Thank you very much for your donation, Hyperball. I really appreciate that. I think Miggy gives more than Longstaff, and Tonali was brought in for him. But there's not so much hate for Longstaff. Not that I'm hating him. No, I don't hate Longstaff either. I should call him Sean Longstaff because he runs so much, but he's not running in the right areas right now. He just seems to be running for the sake of running. And I think Longstaff needs those players around him to be at the top of their game. On that right-hand side, Trippier, Bruno, they've got to be up and firing all cylinders for Longstaff to make those runs into the box, to pop up with those goals and do that kind of stuff that he does. And because Trippier's off and Bruno's a bit up and down, Longstaff is looking a little bit exposed. Same with Louis Miley to a certain extent. But it's just not good. It really, really isn't at the minute. Complacency on the part of a player. Eddie has to exert his authority on the players on the field of play. I hope that's what he does. I mean, they should respect him enough to run through brick walls for the guy, because he has been a brilliant manager, and he's still a good manager at Newcastle. He still has the time to fix this. As Eddie Howe, listen, we're still 7th in the Premier League. The season hasn't tailed off. I saw some things going on social media posts about that's the season, over and all that. I know a few guys have put this in the comments. Well, I don't think the season is over, because, we're breaking for Christmas now. We're back on Boxing Day. A win against Forest on Boxing Day puts us in a good position. We've got the January window coming. We have to add players in the January window. We need quality in the squad. We need more depth in this squad. We need depth in all areas. We need depth at the back because Lascelles is filled in admirably for Botman, but he's not great, Lascelles, right? He's had a couple of good games, right? But we're talking about him going out in the summer. So if you can go get yourself a really quality centre back that can fill in if Shaw's knackered or Botman's knackered, and it isn't Lascelles or Burn that's coming in, that's worth doing. The midfield would need a number 6, whether that be Calvin Phillips or Neves on loan or whatever. We need somebody there. We need better width. We need somebody out wide with quality and creativity that can do something with the ball. As Brian says there, Almiron has new slippers for Christmas. Shit, exactly. This is the problem. Almiron is not offering anything in the final third right now. He's running around like a headless chicken. He's looking for Trippier, who isn't confident with his own game at the minute, So because Mickey can't cross the ball with his right foot, that's a major problem. We're talking about a professional footballer for a top 6 Premier League team here that's just been part of the Champions League, and the guy can't use his right foot. So what the fuck is he even out there? I totally agree with you, time and tide. God, we could do with Joe Willock back. 100% do with Joe Willock back. If Joe Willock was fit, I'd stick him on the left-hand side of that front three and move Gordon over to the right. And that's the front three that I would play. Maybe Isak in the middle if he's fit. That would tear teams to pieces, and there would be quality, there'd be focus, and there'd be consistency in the play there. Even Barnes would give you that as well versus Mickey, because he's been so poor. Ronald's saying that wasn't good enough, especially with what big guns being on. I know that's the problem. We had big players today, and they just didn't stand up, did they? They didn't stand up. That's really, really disappointing. William said we've got some killer fixtures coming in January too. I mean, that's a tough fixture list, isn't it? Liverpool, City, Villa. I mean, City have been a little bit off recently, but the way we're playing, we could be in big, big trouble. Dangling Dave, I think Barnes is due back for January if he doesn't need an operation, which he very well might do. And the way Harvey Barnes' situation's going, I'd be shocked if he doesn't need an operation, to be honest with you, because he just seems to be having the worst luck that there is as a Newcastle player. Stephen's saying we don't have width, all inverted wingers. By the time we flop one in, we're marked up. Isak and Wilson play all month and not score that service. Straight down, wing bang, over goals. Yeah, I mean, if we had a winger that could cross the ball and a player that could put a ball in, Wilson's movement is so good in the box, he would get goals. Isak's movement is so good in the box, he would get goals. We've seen that from the two of them before. They're starved for service right now. I did feel a bit for both of them today because the midfield wasn't good enough to create chances, I mean, look at Fulham last week as well. We huffed and we puffed, and Bruno kind of gets a little bit of luck with that first one, and Miley puts it away, and then that's it. We kick on. That didn't happen this week, and again, credit to Luton. I've got to say, Luton played excellent. They deserved their win. They were fantastic from minute one. They were everything Newcastle weren't, and massive credit to them. It's a huge win for them and their bit to stay in the Premier League. But we just turned up and bent over for them, really. I'm really disappointed that lads did that. I was expecting a lot more. I really was. Eddie's saying he's getting them in on Christmas Day. I don't know what you're going to do with him, Eddie, on Christmas Day. But you need to do something, mate, because that's not good enough. It really, really isn't. Brian is saying he reckons that Harvey Barnes will be some player. Shame he got knackered so early on. I really do like Barnes. I think he's a really, really good player. I think when he comes back, and I hope it is January, I think he's going to remind people of how good he really is. And it's a time when we need him. It really, really is. Because if they don't go and sign a player to replace Mickey in the January window, get one on loan, which I really think they should do, go over Saudi and get one. Mahrez is there, Mane is there. Why not? Get one of those two. Get one of those two for 6 months. They do a better job than Mickey Almiron right now, and they give you goals and creativity. But if we're not going to do that, then Barnes coming back is a huge thing. Kendall saying he thought Miley was doing a job today. Me too, mate. We missed him when everyone else went. I thought he was tidy on the ball. I thought he was linking up quite well on the left-hand side with Gordon and Burn. I thought he was a couple of nice flashes from him. I think the goal was obviously disappointing for him in terms of his movement. I don't know whether that's why Howe hooked him. He was worried it was going to affect his confidence. But straight after the goal, I saw him winning tackles and getting on the ball again. So he didn't look like he was worried about it. But very, very strange. Very, very strange. Time and time again, saying Willox gets stuck, but massive pain in the arse of teams in the last 30 years. Stick, I beg your pardon. Willock's a great player, and I think we're missing him hugely. Keith's saying, I'm sorry, Luton, fucking Luton. We should never be losing against the likes of Putin. No excuse. We're supposed to be top 6 side now. What am I saying? That was shite. That's fair play, Keith. I think you're entitled to that opinion. We're not a channel Tell anybody to be quiet for that. I hate when people throw those superlatives at you. Trust the process and all this bollocks. Trust your eyes. That's a bad performance. And that's not the first bad performance. There's been a lot of bad performances in the last few weeks. And questions need to be asked. People are already starting to ask it. Why isn't Lewis Hall coming ahead of Matt Ritchie? Why are you playing Kieran Trippier when he doesn't look like he's right in the head? Why is Longstaff getting left on the pitch when he's offering nothing and Louis Miley's getting taken off when he's at least offering something? Why is Mickey Almiron playing ahead of Tino Livramento when he's offering fuck all? Then that to me are questions that the manager needs to answer. He's not exempt from that. Just because he's got loads of credit at the bank doesn't mean he shouldn't answer questions. Ronald saying Mile instead of Longstaff, yeah, very strange. Absolutely, man. I totally agree with that. It's Theophilus. That's a lot for me to say after that game. Made my head's bad. Think the players tracking back when opposing teams are attacking. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, I think a game like Luton, right? We should have went into that, and we should have absolutely went at them from the first whistle, or when we absorbed that pressure, which they were doing, the first 10 minutes. I think they do that against everybody, Luton. They just go at people, and I think we should have absorbed that after 10 minutes and then turned up the heat and went right at them. We had the players to do it, but people just didn't seem to want to do it. They didn't want to turn up the volume and the intensity. Eddie always says intensity is our identity. I don't see intensity anymore. I really don't see intensity. I don't see any press. I don't see people hungry for the ball. I don't see people trying to drive it. I mean, Bruno won that corner and he's trying to pump the crowd up. And you know what? I love Bruno, but I thought, fuck you. Don't you pump the crowd up. You need to fucking pump up, mate. You need to get your fucking arse in gear, you and all your teammates, because you delivered nothing today. Don't go like this to the crowd, like you need the crowd to get you up. You fucking get up and you put a performance around a pitch. That's what you're supposed to do. All these fucking pumping the crowd up things are great at St James's Park. But when you're away from home and you're doing fuck all, you need to take some ownership of that as well. He didn't do anything after that. Nobody did anything after that. Pumping the crowd up. He got a bit of a cheer, but they didn't turn the heat up. They didn't try to do anything. Shit passing again, bad decision making, and we didn't even look like trouble in the goalkeeper. So just shit, really. So I'm not having that bollocks. New Monkey saying embarrassing, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Northumberland Rockhopper, great name, mate. Come 6th of January, our season could be in tatters. I'm worried about this, I must admit. We could win it, but personally, I think they'll bottle it. I'm not how out in any way, shape, or form, but looking at our next fixtures, I'm worried. Do you know what, mate? You're probably in the same mindset as me. I am worried. I am worried that team right now has no idea, no plan B. They go into games. There's no intensity anymore, which is supposed to be our identity. So if we haven't got intensity, what we've got? We're not intricate. We don't pass in triangles. We don't break the lines. We look for Trippier all the time, who's off form in a minute. That's factual. Miggy gives the ball away too much. Sometimes Bruno overcooks and gives the ball away. Left back, Tino's been doing quite well. Byrne coming in takes away that overlap quality that we have. Gordon's another outlet for us. He's burnt out. Wilson's only just back from injury. Isak looks still injured. Louis Miley's done excellent since he's come in. But we're really struggling in that side right now for just somebody to get the foot on the ball and do something. And that's what Joe Linton does really well. And Joe Willock is that guy who can just make something happen. He can win you a penalty, or he can break the lines and just knock one across the face of the goal for Isak toe poking in, or Wilson toe poking in. And we haven't got those players right now. So until we get those players back, I don't know how we're going to manage with these fixtures. And January cannot come soon enough, and the club has to do something. It can't sit on its hands again. And it can't say, trust the process, trust the lads, because the lads have showed that they haven't been up for the fight. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them haven't been up for the step up in quality that this season has taken. Maybe we've just readdressed the balance. Maybe, we are where we're supposed to be, top 8, top 9 team in the Premier League. I know last season we overachieved and we were way ahead of schedule. But when you get to that promised land, FFP, whatever, you need to sign in key areas to sign better than what you've got. And we didn't do that in the key areas. I don't feel like we did. So Livramento, outside of Livramento, none of them are really improved the starting 11. Tonali had a great debut, but he tailed off after that. And everyone was saying, oh, it's because of his betting problems. And nobody knows that. Maybe just didn't take to the league, or was a bit too intense for him. Him and Bruno didn't click, didn't work well together. Obviously, Barnes is the big miss, I think, as well, because he showed even in pre-season in particular, and then in the Villa game that he had that quality. I think he created a chance for Wilson straight away, and then he scores himself. And missing a player like that is a big loss. But the club have to do something in January, because we are massively devoid of quality. We really, really are. Daniel Davison got a horrible feeling that Eddie's going to play exactly the same team in Forest as well. He probably will. He probably will, Dave. He'll say, give the lads a chance to make it right. And you think, well, what happens if they just turn up again and the same thing happens? What do you do then, Eddie? Do you wait till the 80th minute to make a couple of subs again? And then people are going to start asking more questions. William saying, some NUFC account on Twitter claimed we were going to pursue Bowen to replace Miggy. Good luck with that. Like him, but West Ham would fucking wet themselves from laughing. I did see that one. He's exactly the type of player that I'm talking about to upgrade on a Miggy Almiron. I don't think we would get him. If we do get him, it costs you a fortune. If you think Grealish goes from Villa to City for 100 million, what would Bowen go at? But he's the kind of upgrade that we need. I mean, personally for me, I would look at Chiesa from Juventus. I think, he could probably cost you half the price of Bowen. And, he's 25 years old. He's a bit younger. And he's great at going forward, and he can track back as well. So he fits what we do very, very well. But, it's up to the club to decide what they're going to do. New Monkey saying Bruno was awful. Definitely his worst game in a Toon. I just think he overcooked too much. He had bits where he was decent. I mean, that shot, I'm sick of him trying to perfectly place it into the far corner as well. You put your fucking laces through it, Bruno. We're 1-0 down. Nothing's going our way. Blast it with your fucking laces. And if the keeper saves it and drops it in front of somebody, they might toe poke it in. Do you know what I mean? It's just all this, I've got to bend it to the perfect postage stamp finish. No, man, just put your foot through it. Mark saying there was enough in that squad. Shocking. January will be an interesting time. Yeah, I do agree, Mark. I've just said that earlier as well. And I really do think we need to sort this shit out in January. Jordy's says James Park, something's not right. Eddie looks lost. He does. And you got to wonder when that pressure is going to start to get turned up on the manager. I mean, I love him to bits, and I really hope it doesn't happen. But, these, right, like it or not, right, we are owned by these guys who are extremely ambitious, and we're owned by these guys, and they trust the UK management team to run the club. And Eddie was there, man. They picked Eddie and all that stuff. I'm sure Piff love him for what he did. Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? Saves from relegation, got us in the Champions League. He's done a phenomenal job. But these guys want to be number one. They want to be the best. And if we lose games like this more regularly and we slip down the table, the pressure is going to get turned up on anyhow. Believe it. And I really hope we turn this around. January is massive for this football club, and we need to get something sorted big time in terms of squad depth. Scott saying it's Christmas. They can't be asked per usual. Too much Christmas pudding. I hope not the Christmas pudding yet, mate, because that's a bit early, isn't it? Kendall says Longstaff and Miggy need to do the J7 workout to be stronger on the ball rather than flop to the decks. Yeah, Longstaff was bad today. Miggy been bad for ages, to be honest with you. I don't know how he gets in the team. Stu Maggs, an experienced Premier League players come at premium, but we need some ready-to-go experience to bolster key areas. Are we getting too easy to set up against? 100% agree, Stu Mag. We had this conversation in the chat as well. We need players for now. We need 2 or 3 players, big quality players that can go into that 11, never mind the 17, that 11 and make a difference right now, because Miggy is way below standard. Even at the back, we'll look leggy. We'll look poor as well at the back. Midfield, if Bruno's having an off day, we need to have somebody who can challenge him for a position as well. Like I say, there's Saudi players in the Saudi league that we could loan, and I really do think we should be going for some of those players. Milinkovic-Savic massively is a player for me that stands out, as does someone like Mahrez, Laporte at the back. If we want to get around FFP, fuck it, let's do it. We're allowed to do it, so let's do it. Why not? I think all 3 of them players add something to the squad. It'd just be interesting to see what happens. You're right, Marcus. Gordon putting some brilliant crosses today. That's another thing I've not said. Strikers as well. We've been linked to Girasai, who's bagging him in the Bundesliga, and Jonathan David of Lille recently as well, which we did a rumour has it video on. Those guys, there's players as well to bring in. You can't loan them, but you have to dip your hand in your pocket and buy a striker, because Isak's not getting any fit there. Wilson's injury record is bad. Great goal ratio for the club, Wilson, but his injury record is bad. So we need another striker to push those 2 and give us something, give us an option off the bench. Today's a perfect example. If you were to bring a striker off the bench who could change that game, I always think about Chicharito at Manchester United when he was there. He could change a game. Solskjaer could change a game when he come off the bench for Manchester United. We need a player like that when we're not getting any change there. Just somebody to run across the face of goal and toe punt one in the back of the net and get us back into the game. We need a player like that. Have not got that player in that squad. Huge player that we need to sign in January. Snakey says Almiron's a bench player, although I couldn't agree more. His energy insane as a 70-minute sub. I reckon they'll pick up a right wing and keep him in the squad. I would do that. I wouldn't get rid of Miggy. I'd keep him in the squad for a player to run at people with tired legs. I don't think Miggy would go anywhere bigger than Newcastle. He came from the MLS. I don't think he would go anywhere bigger than Newcastle. He might go to maybe a La Liga team, mid-table, 12th, 15th team in La Liga or something like that. But Newcastle will be the biggest club that he'll be at his whole career, especially this particular time. So I don't think Miggy would want to move, but get a quality right winger and let Miggy be the understudy. And he can be a squad player. Bring him on to run at tired legs, 100%. What else have we got here? Scrolling down, checking your... New Monkey says, fuck FFP. Everyone else ignores it. That would be quite interesting. We just went, fuck it, bang. Let's do cheat code. Michael saying, Saudis are building a wall city, FFS. There's knee sentiments. Absolutely. I think the sentiment's going to go out the window soon, because if we keep slipping down that table, which we're not at the minute, we're still 7th or whatever. But if we do start losing more games and go out cups and the pressure gets turned up, I think the Saudis will want to do something, and they'll get more involved with the day-to-day running of the club. Mark says we need a keeper. Couldn't agree more. Centre-half and number 6 and 2 strikers. That'll be my shopping list as well, mate. 100%. Yet Soulé from Juventus. Yeah, we've got a rumour has a video on him coming out. J7 too. So check that. He reminds you of the young Di Maria. Him. Very, very good player. Alan Grant, Jurassic Park, needs a new striker, keeper, and a right winger. Absolutely, mate. I think these are key positions. I really, really hope that Eddie Howe has seen that and knows that and spoke to the board about that, because we need to get those players in. Snakey thinks Mahrez is a good shout on loan. Fucking right, mate. 6-month loan. Ready-made Premier League player, still got quality. I'd have him in tomorrow. I really, really would. Right, one last comment there. We've got Andy H saying it wasn't player quality we lacked today. It was drive, ambition, and once again, a plan B. Piss poor. I don't disagree with that, mate. But if you have quality to come off the bench, I really do think that, for me, that would change a game, especially a game like that where you're really, really struggling. Well said, Dangling Dave. At least Man U lost, absolutely. But where form isn't particularly great either. Marcus and Adam, just reminding everybody this is our last live one before Christmas. Hope everyone has a great time. Yes, I second that. Thank you all for taking the time to watch and get involved. We really, really appreciate that, everybody. That's me done for the post-match. I'm going to go fucking try and chill out, calm down. Christmas is coming, everybody. Have a fantastic day with your loved ones. I really hope it's a great day for you where we all drink and be merry. Let's hope Newcastle United come back and give us a nice Boxing Day and batter Nottingham Forest and get us back into the race for the top 4. Same to you, Smithy. All the best as well. All the best, William. Thank you so much, Northumberland and Marcus. Have a great one, everybody. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you after the fat man comes. See you later. Cheers. Bye-bye.